two people sit down on the same day with the same debt? $30,000 spread across a few credit cards and a car loan. Same income, same interest rates, same starting point in every way that matters. 3 years later, one of them is completely debt-free, throwing money into savings, sleeping fine. The other is still paying, still stressed, and will not be free for another 2 full years. They did not earn more. They did not get lucky. The only thing that separated them was the order they paid their debts in. That is it. The sequence. This is the part of debt that almost nobody talks about because it is not exciting. Everybody wants to argue about side hustles and budgeting apps and whether you should cut your own hair to save $12. Meanwhile, the actual lever, the one that decides whether you are free in 3 years or 7, is sitting right there being ignored. Most people attack their debt in the worst possible order without ever knowing they made a choice. They just start paying whatever feels scariest or whatever the loudest voice online told them to. My name is Victor, and on this channel we break down the real data behind your money. No hype, no recycled advice, just what the numbers actually say. Today the numbers say there is a right way and a wrong way to get out of debt. The difference is measured in years and thousands of dollars, and you do not have to ruin your life to do it the right way. Let me show you what the wrong order actually costs because the number is bigger than you think. Say you have that same $30,000 in debt, one card at 24%, another at 19%, the car loan at 7%. If you throw your extra money at the wrong balances, paying off the low-interest car first because the payment annoys you, while the 24% card keeps compounding in the background, you can easily pay an extra $4,000 to $6,000 in interest over the life of that payoff. That is real money. That is a vacation, an emergency fund, 2 months of somebody's rent, lit on fire for no reason other than picking the wrong target. And the time cost is worse than the dollar cost. Every extra month you stay in debt is a month that high interest is eating returns you could be earning instead. People focus on the monthly payment and completely miss the meter running in the background. At 24%, a $5,000 balance is costing you about $100 a month in pure interest before you have paid down a single cent of what you actually borrowed. You are running up a down escalator. Then there is the cost nobody puts on a spreadsheet. The mental weight. Debt does not just sit in an account, it sits in your chest. It is the thing you think about at 2 in the morning. It is the reason you snap at people you love over something small. There is solid research connecting high personal debt to anxiety, depression, even physical health problems. The body keeps score of the thing your bank statement is doing to you. So these are the stakes. Pick the wrong order, and you pay thousands more, you stay trapped years longer, and you carry the stress the entire time. Pick the right one, and the whole thing collapses faster than you would believe. The good news is, the right order is not complicated. It is just not what most people do on instinct. Before I give you the sequence, you have to understand why the usual advice fails. Because the usual advice is everywhere and it quietly wrecks people. The standard message is brute force. Pay more. Cut everything. Live on nothing. Sell your stuff. Get a second job. Attack the debt like it insulted your family. And look, the intensity feels right. It feels like you are finally taking it seriously. For about 6 weeks, it even works. Then real life shows up. The car needs a repair. A birthday happens. You are exhausted from the second job, and you just want one normal dinner out. And because you built your entire plan around perfect deprivation, the first time you spend a normal dollar, you feel like you blew it. You did not just go off plan, you feel like you failed the whole project. And that feeling is the killer. Most people do not quit paying off debt because the math stopped working. They quit because the plan demanded they become a robot, and they are not a robot, and the moment they proved it, they gave up entirely. This is the same lesson behind almost everything on this channel. Willpower is not a renewable resource you can just decide to have more of. If your debt plan requires you to white-knuckle every single day for 3 straight years, the plan is already broken. You will not lose because you are weak. You will lose because you designed a system that needs a version of you that does not exist. There is a name for the trap on the math side, too. People treat all debt as one big scary blob. It feels like a single monster, so they either freeze and do nothing, or they swing wildly at whatever scares them most that week. But debt is not one monster. It is several different animals, each charging you a different price for your money, and they are not equally dangerous. The 24% card is genuinely on fire. The 7% car loan is barely smoldering. Treating them the same way is like spending equal effort fighting a wasp and fighting a house fire. You have to triage. And here is the part that trips up even smart people, the ones who are good with numbers. They assume that because something is mathematically optimal, they will actually do it. They build the perfect spreadsheet, the one that saves the most interest down to the penny, and then they abandon it in month 4 because the perfect plan gave them nothing to feel good about along the way. A plan you quit is worse than a decent plan you finish. I cannot say that strongly enough. The best debt strategy is not the one that looks best on paper. It is the one you will still be doing next March. So we need an order that does 2 things at once. It has to respect the math because interest is real and ignoring it is expensive. And it has to respect the human being doing it because a plan you abandon saves you nothing. Most advice picks one and sacrifices the other. The real sequence does both. So here is the actual sequence. 5 steps in order, and the order is the whole point. Step 1 comes before you attack any debt at all, and skipping it is why most people fail. You need a small buffer first. Not a full emergency fund, just a starter cushion. Something like $1,000 or 1 month of your bare minimum expenses if you can swing it. Here is why this is not optional. If you throw every last dollar at your debt and keep nothing in reserve, the next time your car breaks or your tooth cracks, you have no choice but to reach for a credit card. And now you are adding new high-interest debt while trying to pay off old high-interest debt. You are bailing out a boat with a hole still in it. That little buffer is the patch. It keeps 1 bad week from undoing 6 months of progress. Build it first, fast, before anything else. Step 2 is to get the full picture on 1 page. Sit down and list every single debt you have. The balance, the minimum payment, and most importantly, the interest rate on each one. Most people have never actually done this. They know roughly what they owe, in the same vague way they know roughly how much they weigh, which is to say they are avoiding the real number. Put it all in front of you. It is less scary on paper than it is in your imagination at 2 in the morning, almost always. Step 3 is where you choose your method, and there are 2 real ones. The first is called the avalanche. You make every minimum payment, then you throw all your extra money at the debt with the highest interest rate, regardless of its size. When that one is gone, you roll everything on to the next highest rate, and so on down the line. The avalanche is mathematically perfect. It saves you the most money and the most time, full stop. If you are a person who can stick to a plan purely because the numbers say so, even when the biggest balance barely seems to move for months, the avalanche is the cheapest way out. The second method is called the snowball. You still make every minimum payment, but instead of targeting the highest rate, you throw your extra money at the smallest balance first, the one you can kill quickest. When it is gone, you take that whole payment and roll it onto the next smallest, and the amount you are attacking with grows like a snowball rolling downhill. The snowball is not mathematically optimal. You will usually pay a bit more interest than the avalanche. But it gives you something the avalanche does not. It gives you a win fast. You wipe out an entire debt in the first month or two, you feel the account hit zero, and that hit of progress is fuel. Now here is where most advice fails you. It picks a side and yells at you. The math people say avalanche always. Anyone who picks snowball is being irrational and wasting money. The motivation people say snowball always. Ignore the math, feelings matter more. Both of them are missing the actual question, which is not which plan is better, but which plan will you finish. Because a snowball you complete beats an avalanche you abandon in month 4 every single time. The interest you save on paper means nothing if you quit before you get there. So here is how you choose honestly. If you have a long, sober track record of sticking to things that have no emotional payoff, things you do purely because they are correct, run the avalanche and save the money. But if you are honest with yourself and you know that you need to see progress to stay in the game, that you have started and quit plans before, then run the snowball and do not feel 1 ounce of guilt about it. The small extra interest you pay is not a waste. It is the price of a plan you will actually finish, and that price is cheap. Step 4 is to automate the whole thing, exactly like we did with the budget. Once you have chosen your target debt, set your minimum payments on every account to pay automatically, so you never get hit with a late fee that sets you back. Then set up one more automatic payment, your extra attack money, to hit your target debt the day after you get paid before you can talk yourself into spending it. You are not relying on the discipline to log in and pay extra every month. You are making the right thing happen on its own while you are rested, decided once. The same trick that fixes budgeting fixes debt payoff. Take the willpower out of the daily moment and bake it into the structure. Step 5 is the one the brute force crowd skips, and it is the reason their plans collapse. You have to build in some room to live. Keep a small amount of guilt-free spending in your month, even while you are paying off debt. I know that sounds backwards. Every instinct says throw everything at it. But the whole reason people quit is that they cut all the joy out, hit a wall, and rage spend their way off the plan entirely. A little breathing room is not a leak in the plan. It is what keeps you on the plan for 3 straight years instead of 3 intense weeks. Slightly slower and finished beats blazing fast and abandoned. Always put those 5 steps together and look at what you have built. A buffer so one bad week cannot wreck you. A clear list so you are fighting real animals instead of an imaginary monster. A method matched to your actual psychology, not someone else's lecture. Automation so the right payment happens without a daily fight. And enough breathing room that you do not burn out and quit. That is a plan a real human being can run all the way to zero. That is the difference between the person who is free in 3 years and the person still paying in 7. Now let me show you the research, because the snowball versus avalanche debate has actually been studied, and the answer surprised a lot of people. For years, the assumption was obvious. The avalanche saves the most money, so the avalanche is what rational people should do, end of story. Then researchers started looking at what people actually accomplish, not what the math says they should accomplish, and the picture flipped. A study out of Northwestern University, led by researchers Gal and McShane, looked at how real people paid down real debt. What they found is that focusing on knocking out the smallest balances first, the snowball, was a better predictor of actually getting out of debt than any other approach. Not because it saved money. It did not. Because the early wins kept people in the fight. There is research published in the Harvard Business Review echoing the same thing. The sense of progress from closing an account entirely watching a balance go to zero was more motivating than the abstract knowledge that you were saving a few dollars in interest somewhere you could not feel. Think about what that is really saying. It is saying the best strategy depends on what makes a human keep going, not just on what a calculator prefers. The number on the spreadsheet is real, but so is the moment you quit, and the moment you quit costs infinitely more than a little extra interest. This connects to a broader idea behavioral scientists call the power of small wins. Progress, even tiny visible progress, is one of the strongest motivators there is. Researcher Teresa Amabile studied this in the world of work and found that of all the things that drive people forward, the single biggest one was simply making progress on something that mattered. Closing out that first small debt is a small win you can actually see. It tells your brain, this is working, keep going. The avalanche, for all its mathematical beauty, often makes you stare at the same giant balance for months before anything feels like it is happening, and a lot of people go numb and drift before they ever reach the payoff. None of this means the avalanche is wrong. If you are wired to follow the optimal path regardless of how it feels, the avalanche is genuinely the cheaper road, and you should take it. The point is not that one method wins for everyone. The point is that the research finally caught up to something obvious once you say it out loud. The right plan is the one you finish, and which plan you will finish depends on the actual human running it. The math matters. The human matters more, because the human is the one who has to keep showing up. So here is exactly what to do this week. Step 1. Before you attack anything, park a small buffer. Open a separate savings account and get a starter cushion in there as fast as you can, $1,000 or 1 month of bare minimum expenses. This is your shield against new debt. Do this first. Step 2. Make your list. 1 page, every debt, 3 columns. Balance, minimum payment, interest rate. Do not estimate. Pull the real numbers. You cannot beat a number you are refusing to look at. Step 3. Choose your method honestly. If you have proven to yourself that you can stick to things just because they are correct, run the avalanche, highest interest rate first. If you know in your gut you need to feel progress to keep going, run the snowball, smallest balance first. There is no wrong answer here. There is only the answer that matches the person you actually are. Step 4. Automate it. Set every minimum payment to pay itself so you never eat a late fee. Then schedule your extra attack payment to hit your target debt the day after payday, automatically, before you can spend it. Step 5. Leave yourself a little room. Keep a small guilt-free amount in your month. This is not weakness. This is the part of the plan that keeps you from quitting in month 4. Protect it. That is the whole thing. Buffer, list, method, automate, breathing room. Run it, and the debt that has felt permanent for years starts collapsing on a schedule you can actually see. Here is the question I want you to sit with before you go. Be honest. Are you someone who will follow the optimal path even when it feels like nothing is happening, or are you someone who needs a win on the board to stay in the game? There is no shame in either answer. But the person who answers it honestly is the person who actually gets out, because they finally pick a plan built for them instead of for somebody else. So make your list this week, pick your method, and start the sequence. Next time we are going somewhere a little uncomfortable. The psychology of why smart, capable, hard-working people stay broke anyway. It is not about income, and it is not about intelligence, and once you see the mental traps doing it to you, you cannot unsee them. I will show you exactly what they are. This is the channel where your money finally starts making sense. Subscribe and I will see you in the next one.